Hey everybody, super excited for today's episode. It's all about creativity. We have Durbin on the show. She's a powerhouse in movie production and also a creative coach. So she helps people through what she calls the artist way. And it's important that we have a process for our creativity and understanding what's a good process for you personally, and also having a space. She talks about the importance of having a space and then the power of music in the creative process. And then she's going to use words like distractions, how sometimes distractions can be really important in order to get the creative juices flowing. Empathy and creativity, how important it is to have a sounding board for somebody to talk to about all your ideas. So let's go ahead and get started into this particular episode. It starts now. Hello, Durbin.
Hello, Steve Garris. So good to see you again.
Great to see you. So obviously you seem to have the creative juices, the creative bug. What does creativity mean to you and how do you express it?
Well, creativity has been something that's been elusive at times for me. It is when everything comes together, your vision, your belief in your vision, and your action for your vision, putting it all together and letting it happen and getting out of the way of it, essentially. And when I say that, I mean by releasing your judgment about the outcome.
Okay, because so many times we do have a judgment of our own, do we like it or not? But is it even more so whether somebody else is going to like it or not? Or
well, yes, and I actually had a creative friend explain it to me this way. Sometimes when you're doing a creative project, you have to say, think of it like you're cooking dinner. I'm cooking dinner, and this is what I have to offer, and some people will like it, and some people won't. Some people will eat it all up, and some people won't touch it. And you just can't please everyone. You have to be true to your inner inspiration and let it flow to its logical conclusion.
Does that start with getting out of your head or repicturing what success is?
Yes, absolutely. You have to let go of the judgment on that. I find personally that if I start by trying to produce a product, for example, that's going to be commercially successful, that if I start with that in mind, it actually ends up being a less creative project because I have a preconceived notion about what a commercially viable project is. Mm-hmm. And so if I just go with the flow and let it happen, I'm more likely to finish it. I'm more likely to have a strong belief in it. And the best of all worlds is when those two things happen together, that you go with your flow and it is commercially viable. So
how do you kind of control and make sure that your creativity is good to your heart and also keeps flowing? Because I guess that's another thing. Sometimes creativity doesn't always flow, and that can be a hindrance, and also maybe make it easier to be like, well, my creativity is not flowing today, but it looks like it's flowing over there. Let me grab that.
Well, yes, and that actually is what I call distraction. Okay. So it depends on, again, what your deadlines are, what your priorities are. So if you have the luxury of being able to move from creative inspiration to creative inspiration, well, lucky you. You must be independently wealthy, Wouldn't that be nice for all of us? But for those of us who have to monetize our creativity, we have to be able to stay focused. And that's where it helps to have some deadlines and some parameters, and being able to manage your creativity within those parameters so that you can achieve the goal of goals that are required to monetize your creativity.
So how do you keep creativity flowing at all and then also in the right direction?
Well, first of all, commitments. If I'm working with a collaborative team, as I am on this project right now, I make commitments. and I take my commitments seriously. So if I promise someone that in 2 weeks I will have a rough cut for them to review, I've never missed a deadline. Now,
Oh, nice.
the quality of that, I leave it pretty open. When I say rough, it may be very rough.
Right.
And that's hard for me to let go of. I hate to let go of let anybody see anything rough because I'm judging it. I'm prejudging it. But you need to sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make as well. And something that I struggle with is when is something done? A lot of times we just kind of run out of time, right? Or are you able to say, no, it's done?
Very rarely am I able to say it's done. It's I have to, with any painting or any music I'm writing or any script that I'm doing, every time I reread it, I've got to change it. And at some point, you have to walk away. And that's when a deadline helps. For example, this project I'm working on now, I'm working towards a Sundance submission deadline in the fall.
Oh, okay. That's definitely, yeah.
Yes. So, and that's not something I have to do. I don't even know if it's a Sundance material, but it is a deadline because this is not a monetized project that I'm working on. It's a creative project for our nonprofit foundation, Reel to Reel Inc. And so we have a lot of leeway. So we have to put some parameters around that to manage our creativity and keep us focused.
That is good. And as far as like a creative space, does that like help, to just have a place to go into as opposed to like set up and get everything put together? What can you kind of talk to what does your creative space look like?
My creative space has distractions in it, but they're good distractions because sometimes you have a block. And block happens when your stress levels are high, when you feel like your ideas have staled off. And so what you need to do, is to clear your mind to allow space for the creative energy to come in and start flowing again. And so I have things in my space along with my editing suite. I have in another corner, I have a little corner where I paint.
Oh, nice.
Acrylics, things like that. And then I have my ukulele on the wall.
Oh, the ukulele, nice.
Yes, yes. So I'm a hack ukulele player, but I have found that just taking a few moments away from a really tough problem in the editing suite that I'm trying to solve, taking a few moments away for just some fun can help a lot.
And do you have a go-to ukulele song?
Yes. Lately, I have been playing Little Tomato by Pink Martini.
Oh, nice.
It almost sounds like a children's song, but it was on one of their first albums. And it's just a story of a little tomato that keeps growing, rain or shine. It's really cute.
You talked about collaboration. Talk about the importance of collaboration for you, but then also how important is it to have somebody else that you can share a creative idea with and get their viewpoint and, you value their opinion. Like they don't necessarily have to like it or not, but you trust them to say, is this have anything?
Absolutely. I think it's fantastic to have people that you can trust. And if you can trust them with your creative ideas by how you feel when you leave them. If you feel deflated when you leave them, then you've been spending your time with the dream killer, or sometimes I call them dream vampires.
Oh, wow.
So you want to avoid the dream vampires, and I have a blog post on this, as a matter of fact, and how you know if you're with someone who is a dream cheerleader or a dream vampire. So it's very important to be able to distinguish between those two. Sometimes we so much, for example, want a parent or someone to love everything we do. They may love us, but they may also not be the people who understand what we're trying to accomplish, creativity. So you need to get with those people that support you. They're good listeners. And they might also play devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah, that is important to do too.
Give you some, broaden your perspective. And those are my favorites. The ones that help extend your project and say, well, have you thought about this? Or
So can the collaborator be someone different every time, or do you prefer to kind of always go to the same people once you identify that they're not dream vampires? Or do they all kind of have their, well, this project sounds like maybe it would be good to get their input, or this one would maybe be good for their input, or...
Yes. Actually, I think even dream vampires have some value if you take it in the right spirit.
Okay.
Because they can give you some valuable feedback that, okay, that's not my target audience right there. And that's always valuable information. But and I don't usually search these people out. Somehow they usually find me, and it might be a stranger in a coffee shop.
Oh, wow.
For example, I really like to write in a coffee shop. Starbucks is a local place that's always receptive and has...
It is always a good vibe, yeah.
Wi-Fi. And I've had people just kind of accidentally get involved in my project just by saying, oh, what are you working on? Or I like your shoes, and what are you working on? Or something like that. And then I'll just kind of peel back the layers a little bit and say, well, I'm working on this, or I'm working on this scene, or I'm writing this blog. And they say, oh, tell me more, and I just kind of play it by ear to see how much they want to hear. And then I can tell by the questions they ask. Sometimes that takes me in another direction that I hadn't thought about, because you don't always know how your creativity is going to hit other people. And so I think they're a really valuable part of your process.
That is good. So you talk about process. Can you kind of share your creative process, kind of, what you have steps that you do, or?
I have noticed that I have steps, and I've noticed that they're very consistent with steps I observe in others. And the first part of the process is what I call creative procrastination. You have an idea. It's liquid paper.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Something, you want to... something you can just brush on and correct on a typewritten piece of paper, so you don't have to type the whole thing over again. So you have this idea, it's great, you think about it, and because you're thinking about it, you start attracting resources to you. And things that were always there that you didn't know were there before. Like you go in your kitchen and you say, this stuff is white and gooey and dries fast. Maybe this will work, and you start experimenting and that type of thing. It's the same way with art and writing. You have an idea and you start circling it. There are things in your environment that start coming together, or that you start attracting to yourself and noticing, that support your idea and help you evolve it into something viable. And so that's what I call the creative procrastination process. And that leads to the organization phase.
This is important, yes.
Yes. So that's when you start pulling all your resources together in one spot, so that when you have the productive energy, the time, the productive energy, and coinciding with your inspiration, you're not running around looking for things. And so that is a very important part of the process, is organizing, having all your paints, canvases, and supplies in one place, having your editing suite with your clips all organized inside. And sometimes these are the more tedious things. And just methodically taking care of those little details in advance will get you in position so that when the creative energy is flowing, you're ready to go, and you don't have uninterrupted by not having something you need in your space.
Get out of your way for sure. Yeah. It is super important. I'm trying to get more of a space, but I don't have, a space to just kind of go to. So I'm definitely going to take that in and see if I can try to find that, even if it's like a meditative space or something that maybe, it doesn't have to necessarily be like the creative engine, but just an area where I can go to just kind of just be and germinate on an idea or something. So that should be good. You talked about music and the importance of your ukulele. I understand you did like a project that was in regards to music.
Yes, I did. That was one of our projects of the heart. We worked with an organization based in Dallas named Music is Our Weapon. And it was a couple of guys who were music lovers, and they wanted to start a music blog, but they also wanted a philanthropic side for it. And they became aware of how important music is and has a therapeutic value to people with memory loss.
Oh, wow.
And so they assembled their members and as volunteers and recruited. These were all artists and musicians from the community in the Dallas and Austin area and Houston. And they went into memory care facilities with iPads that were purchased with donations to the organization. And they also had an underwriting from Spotify, which we helped them acquire.
That's great.
Because we put a documentary together that they presented to Spotify, and Spotify granted them some funding to support their program.
Yeah, I've definitely been witness to the power of music and people that have dementia, and somehow recently my mom is in assisted living, and they have a person that comes once a month or something. And there was the song, "Oh, Thou Art Our God," and my mom with her eyes closed was just singing along as if it had just she had the words in front of her, but other things that on a daily kind of try to facilitate the kind of escape her. But yeah, the music it was.
It was incredible.
Came right out. Yeah,
it was incredible, and we were fortunate enough to be able to film some of those moments.
Oh, you captured some of that?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
With the residents who listened to a song that they had not heard since they were young, and had, you could see in their expressions and their reactions that they were having an emotional reaction to it. And it was really an amazing event to see the artists and people coming together like this.
And is that for public viewing? Is that out there?
Yes, it is. You can go to our website, AtalantaVisions.com, and there's a link to our Vimeo account that has that.
Definitely.
Music is Our Weapon.
All right. We'll definitely put a link down in the description as well. So you are a coach, kind of with youth and trying to get them, I guess, to try to find power within, because, some of our...
Yes. I'm a doctor of psychology, and my focus, I guess therapeutic focus, I would say, is reframing personal narratives for self-belief and goal attainment. And so what we have learned is that self-efficacy is one of the number one attributes that a person has that allows them to attain an educational or occupational goal. So with our resources, which is our production company and our equipment, we took those into socioeconomically challenged communities to teach students how to use them for the development of self-efficacy. Learning how to master something is what develops self-efficacy.
And what are you seeing these kids, like, they have a problem with it? They don't believe themselves, or?
What self-efficacy is a belief in your ability to do something. And it's transferable. If you have self-efficacy, say, in tennis, then that feeling of self-efficacy or your belief in your ability to do something can transfer to something else. I overcame that tennis challenge. I excelled at tennis. I can excel at algebra.
Okay.
It doesn't always work that way. But it depends on what the students visualizing for themselves. And so the program that we developed is called Vision, Belief, and Action. It's based on the premise that you form an awareness of what is possible for yourself based on what you would like to do. And those two things go hand in hand. Sometimes you don't know what you'd like to do until you have looked around a bit. So we worked with them to expand their awareness or their vision. And the belief is really important, believing in your ability to attain that vision, believing in your worthiness to have it. And then the third component of that is action. Supported by the vision and belief, the action taken needed to attain that vision. For example, if one of our students in the program wanted to be a mechanic. And he did not come from a family of technically trained people. They basically had been in, I would say, what I would call the hospitality services,
okay,
and they had not gone to technical school. So he did not have the legacy of experience that comes from having parents that have been through some post-high school programs like that. And so, what we did was start him filming, interviewing people who had done those things. And in the process of doing that, learning how to use the tools and becoming proficient with it, learning the lighting, getting his subjects. He liked Renaissance lighting because we had a little unit on that. And
Nice.
And so he was adept at setting up the interviews. And so he's still in high school now, but he's
Wonderful.
But he started on the process of learning how you get from point A to point B career-wise.
Yeah, and there's so many intrinsic things outside of, because it seems like the goal is to, the lighting and the filming and everything else, but there's also the social aspect. I mean, they've got to talk with the subject, hey, can you, do this? So
Exactly. And there's some research. Actually, I did a study on self-efficacy and its relationship to college graduation. And several studies showed that students steer away from a lot of professions because they don't believe they have good speaking skills.
Oh, wow.
And so, therefore, those kids who do things like theater arts, speech, debate, things like that, have a broader scope of things they can consider because they feel more confident in their speaking skills because they've had that experience. And so that's our program endeavored to give them. That's one thing about filmmaking, as you know, is that it requires so many skills. It requires
patience,
creativity, ideas, organization, financial management, communication, the technical skills. And so it was a really broad scope, and it was really fun to see the kids gravitate towards what interested them most.
Yeah.
We, of course, had a couple that really just wanted to be in front of the camera.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. That's because you should follow your passion. And that's another thing I talk about in my blog is, and I had a man put it to me so succinctly just recently. He said, those things that we love to do when we're kids, those are our passions. We didn't know it. We were told as we were growing up that that won't make money. That won't, that's not prestigious enough, or that's not what we do in our family, or that sort of thing. And so we get socialized out of our passions. And so his passion was truck driving.
Just loved it, huh?
He just loved it, and he tried other things. And he said, but that's all I really wanted to do as a kid. I played with trucks. And I wanted to be a truck driver. And I thought about what he said. It was very applicable to just about all of us, really, no matter what we do.
Yeah, we do somehow, whether overtly or subconsciously, we do start suppressing the kid in all of us. You know, you always hear, why don't you, it's time for you to grow up and that kind of stuff. And we definitely need to quit saying that because it's that kid that is going to try to find a new way to do something or a new way to do something. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, nobody should grow up, right? I know.
I haven't figured out what I want to do when I grow up, but I'm just following my passion right now. And I'm fortunate that I'm able to do that at this point because I have had a day job up until about 10 years ago, where my focus was divided between the day job and...
That is definitely a different mindset for sure. Mm-hmm. It is that 8 to 5 and, you got to get the bonus, what is it? Get the sale, get the bonus, get the sale, get the bonus, and, all of that. So, well, yeah, congrats on that. And that would kind of take us to the current project that you're working on right now, which it sounds like another beautiful project that you definitely seem to gravitate towards inspirational stories, and it shows in your aura and your energy. So
thank you. Well, I'm really excited about this project. It's AtalantaVisionsProductions nonprofit foundation, Reel to Reel. This is a student that came to us through that process. I had told someone about what we were doing, an acquaintance of mine at the time. I said, I really want to film kids going through the process of applying to college and being accepted and getting there. Because for some kids who don't have a parent or a sibling that's been through that, they don't have any idea what they're getting into or how it's done. I mean,
college process is awful.
It is, and it's complicated.
It's so complicated.
And school counselors are overwhelmed. They do their best. And actually, I'm just really impressed with how well some of our high schools are doing. So no complaints about the high schools at all. They're awesome. But there are many different ways to reach many different people. And so we're conceiving the idea of filming a student who did not have that legacy of experience and information, filming that person going through the process. And the acquaintance I was talking to said, wow, my daughter is going through this process right now. And I thought, what kind of challenges in my mind? I was thinking, what challenge could your daughter have? You're both college-educated parents, and she's not our target demographic at all that we were looking for. And this is where you have to keep an open mind about what your end process is going to be.
Right. Yeah, it is very important.
Yes. And so as I got to talking with her, I realized what a huge challenge her daughter had. She was a nonverbal quadriplegic. She'd been had a birth injury and had cerebral palsy, and she could not even take a sip of water without help. She needed 24 hours a day care. And her dream was to be able to go to college and live on campus like her older sister and like other kids, her peers in her classroom.
Right.
And so her abled peers. And so I met her. Her name's Megan. And I was just blown away by her ambition. It seemed insurmountable. Her disability was so profound that it seemed insurmountable. But she was extremely gifted intellectually, and she had something that every person needs. She had a really supportive family.
That is super important, yeah.
It was incredible. I think it was Maya Angelou that said, every child needs someone in their life who believes in them. A child needs to see an adult's eyes light up when they walk in the room. And so Megan obviously had that. her whole life from her whole family. And so what this is not only the story of Megan's indomitable will and persistence, it's a story of an incredibly supportive family that didn't see obstacles for her.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot of abled people that have more mental obstacles than Megan has, physical obstacles, so it's really all about the vision, the belief, and the action.
Yeah, I think you kind of talk about it in regards to grit, like having that, that passion to get to the end goal.
Exactly.
No matter what.
And grit refers to a personality trait that research has shown is present in people who do achieve goals, such as college graduation. There is a researcher, Duckworth, who has done a huge body of work on showing that grit, which is the quality of being able to push through difficult situations. Mm-hmm. Because people that can power through a difficult course or a difficult social situation or homesickness or whatever it takes to get through college, or lack of secure funding or things like that, are people who get over the finish line.
Yeah. I've kind of heard it told one way that a lot of times we get just chunked in our head about, tasks, and really a lot of times that task may take like 5 minutes. And if you can just get through that, it'll get you to the next one. So were you able to document the entire journey for her to apply to college? And
Yes, we did. We started at the end of her junior year and followed her through her freshman year of college.
Oh, wow.
She's the first person with her disability, the first nonverbal quadriplegic student to live on the University of Houston campus and go to school.
Oh, that's super exciting.
Yes. She's amazing. She's amazing. And I think what people will be most interested in is how she managed it. We call her Megan Inc. because she does all this herself. She needs 24-hour care, so she has to hire aides.
Wow.
And to live with her at the dorm and assist her.
Yeah.
They're called personal care assistants is what they're called.
That's wonderful. And what is she studying?
She's studying digital media.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
It is. And everything she does, she uses eye-gazing technology on a Surface tablet that's suspended in front of her on her motorized wheelchair.
Oh, that's great.
It is
when
amazing.
do you expect that to be available for public consumption? Because I guess she had how many clips? And
again, this is the project where we're shooting to be completed in time for a submission to the Sundance Film Festival.
So
this fall.
It'll be a little bit, because I guess you have to premiere there, right, before.
We would have to, and it won't be our first rodeo with Sundance, so we'll know something, by, I would say, before the first of the year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to keep track of that. And I guess, are you vlogging on that on your website, or are you?
We are about to set up the website for it, and we're going to let Megan vlog.
Oh, wonderful.
On there. She has a vlog, a personal vlog that you can follow at her website, justmyeye.com. She's also an artist.
Oh, wonderful.
And we're going to be able to incorporate some of her art into the media for the film.
We'll definitely, put that link in the description as well.
Yes.
So look forward to that journey. I think you have a title for it. Are you able to share the title?
Yes. Megan's title is myhilariouslife.com. So that's the name of the website. And one of the things that she wanted to do was tell her story with the humor that has buoyed her family through all of this over the years.
Humor is amazing.
Yes.
I think like music, it's kind of a 1A, 1B is in regards to humor. Do you have humor a lot in your day, or?
I just think my life is a sitcom, and I think everyone's is, if you look at it that way. The funny little things that happen, the little coincidences, the little self-delusions we have, the projections we do, the revelations we have are all funny.
Yeah. It is definitely important. So in your coaching, you kind of talk about the way, and you kind of, we kind of hear about the Boba Fett, and the way with him. But you kind of talk about the artist way. Can you share what the artist way is?
Yes, the Artist Way is a program that I became aware of. You can actually buy the book and the workbook on Amazon, and I highly recommend it. And it is one that helps you put structure in
Again, with
your
the
day
structure.
to pave the way for your creativity to be channeled in productive ways, and how you get the productivity flowing. For example, the Artist Way has you start every day by free-form writing in a journal, 2 pages a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
discipline.
it's incredible what you work out in writing. Journaling is an incredible part, and people are very resistant to journaling sometimes. But once they get into the habit of it, they can't stop.
Yeah, it is good. I know people that do it. I've tried to do it. I don't know if sometimes I just like having those thoughts there out in, for someone else to maybe stumble across, but I think I should probably try it. So do you journal, I guess?
Oh, my blog is my journal.
Okay.
And so people are privy to whatever thought I'm having that day out there, but I try to keep it focused. I have several series going out there. I have the Little Steps to Big Success, which
Good.
addresses creativity. I also have a Law of Attraction
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's important.
blog that I do, and because I find that to be meaningful in my life. So I share my experiences with that. And I also have how creativity is applied in business as well, because I have an extensive business background. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's definitely good to share. Yeah, I think maybe I wonder, kind of in listening to you, if it's a self-efficacy thing for me to think if I was to put something on paper that anyone would value that. That I think it's probably something that I need to internalize and deal with. That seems to be kind of a recurring thing that, why would, they're just my thoughts. Why would anybody care or be able to learn from it? So I don't know. I'll definitely give it a whirl.
Well, it's a good thing Hemingway didn't feel that way, isn't it? So
He did have a good way
he
of
did,
putting it out there.
and so many others. I think the person that wrote The Help submitted it 62 times to 62 different publishers before
Yes.
it was accepted. And it just takes, one person to get you.
Yeah.
Or, one editor, one PR person, to get you. And so it's just really important, I think, to be your authentic self.
Yeah. I agree.
In your writing and your creativity, and just to do it, and just realize that you can't please everybody. You can't worry about that,
Right.
because that's a block.
That is a huge block. And there's a great exhibit, MC Escher, at the Houston Museum that is a traveling one. So if anybody wanted to check it whenever it comes to their town as well. I was just amazed at just the breadth of work. And it was, all good work, but not even if it wasn't all good work, it was just, so many times we hear like, somebody wrote, a best-selling #1 book, and then that second one takes forever, or the sophomore slump from a music band or something like that. I think it's, he was able just to create and I guess challenge himself because he was doing a lot of different art as well.
Yes, and I think it's very interesting to follow the progression of someone like that from the start to their opus works, and just because you learn a lot and you think, wow, I could have done that at that stage. That looks like something that I had done or had thought of. And look, where practice took him.
Yeah.
And just the confidence, and, practice equals confidence and belief in your vision. So, just keep pushing on. And again, that's where our self-judgment comes in and blocks our creativity.
No, definitely. I wonder too, he didn't have cell phones, so he probably, had, he didn't get distracted like so many of us do now. So this is kind of circling back a little bit in regards to the self-efficacy. We'll kind of touch on a couple of more things here. What do you think is hindering the youth from feeling self-worth?
Well, you mentioned cell phones. There's a lot of research that has shown that teen suicides have risen exponentially with the rise in cell phone usage among teens. And again, comparison is the death of happiness. And so the whole purpose of the cell phone is a marketing tool. And the whole premise of marketing is to make us feel inadequate some way so that we will acquire what is being marketed to us, be motivated to acquire it, whether it be makeup or cars or something. Marketing is supposed to create the need in the target audience. And so that's what cell phones have done for kids in a lot of ways. And there are a lot of studies on why that happens. Another study that came out that's very fascinating is that pop music has gotten sadder. There was an algorithm that was used to analyze the pop music for the past 30 years, and it showed that sharps and flats are kind of emotional and moody, and
okay, yeah, that's really detailed.
Yeah, and the major scales are happier, and also lyrics as well. And so there's been a sharper rise in sad lyrics. And some people get addicted to sadness.
It can be a wallowing place that can kind of make you feel good at first that somebody else is dealing with it, but if you stay there too long.
People sometimes are very, very resistant to letting go of it because at some point their pleasure center became more stimulated by sadness or anger or fear than by happiness, contentment, and just general well-being, feelings of well-being, that their pleasure centers are more stimulated by anxiety and apprehension.
It does get, that is interesting. I guess it's also easy to, turn those on and off. We all kind of know sadness, so it can be sometimes happiness can be a little judgmental, I guess, but from what that is. But empathy, how does empathy play a part in your coaching?
Well, empathy is a very important part of creativity. I think it's incredibly important. Empathy actually makes us, first of all, you have to be vulnerable enough to experience it. And that vulnerability actually is also allows creativity to access us. So I think that empathy is a really important process. If you did not develop it as a child, it's not too late.
It is not. You still can empathize. Yes, you can learn to be,
You can, and it has to be listening without judgment. And it's very, very difficult to do that because we bring so much baggage and we are projecting.
Yeah, I think it's even listening to others, but also listening to yourself without judgment as well.
Absolutely. Empathy for yourself is so incredibly important. We're our own worst critics.
Aren't we?
Yes.
We see such a different picture in the mirror than others see in real life of us. So some say it's because we're always looking at the mirror image of ourselves, that you're looking at the straightness, but when I look at it, it's flipped. So that sometimes can add
interesting.
To it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It's very interesting. I kind of like it too when you accidentally flip the camera on your phone to the selfie side and you're, oh, wow, is that what I look like? And it's just, and I find that when I set up interviews with people, or film documentaries when I showed them a rough cut, which I really don't like to do.
No, you got to be careful.
Because they hate the way they look on camera.
Yeah.
And that can really kill the flow of the project, when that happens. So I really like to do my reveal as close to the end of the project as possible.
Yeah. So I do have one more question kind of in regards to life and creativity as well. And it kind of goes back to the Forrest Gump of, do you personally live your life, and do you think that, we're kind of feathers in the wind and life just kind of happens, or do you more of the, we happen to life?
Wow. Do I have to choose?
No, there's no wrong answers. It's just more of a thought. I mean, I guess we can even,
it can be a combination of
moments,
both.
yeah.
And I think if we're lucky, we can be in our moment and be influenced by what's happening around us. And if we're lucky, we also can believe in our ability to have control over our outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of what you were alluding to in regards to creativity. I think it's kind of good to be that feather that kind of maybe floats above and looks down and sees things. And then there is that moment where you do, need to grab the feather and start directing.
Exactly. And it comes down to believing in the value of your own ideas.
That is a big deal. It's tough, but super important, yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting in with us, and thank you so much for your time. And so this has been great to catch up with you and to hear. And we're definitely going to be following up and rooting for you as to complete the project, but then hopefully to get it to Sundance, and definitely check out some of the other stuff that Kay is doing. So.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.